For this next panel discussion, I'd like to invite the moderator of this panel, and it is Melody Eskilov. She's going to be the moderator. She's the CEO and co-founder of Satoshi. If I am taking the name correctly, Satoshi it is, right? Yeah, Satoshi, who holds an executive MBA with 15 plus years in sustainable finance, risk management, and project leadership. She excels in global matrix organizations. So put your hands together for our moderator for this next panel, Miss Melody Eskilov. Please come onto the stage and take your seat. Up next, I'll invite the panel members as well. Next is Jim Morose, renowned in the banking sector as a key influencer, co-publishing the financial brand, owning the digital banking report, and hosting the banking transformed podcast, Though through these platforms, he shares invaluable insights on digital transformation in finance, shaping the industry's future. His multifaceted approach to disseminating knowledge has positioned him as a thorough leader in the field, driving innovation and progress. He's already taken his seat. I can see that, sir. It's nice to have you onto the stage with us. Let's hear it for Mr. Jim Morose. Up next, I'd like to invite Sasidhar Thumuluri, MD and CEO of Subk Impact Solutions Limited, brings over 2 decades of expertise in financial inclusion and global impact investments. He leads Subk in leveraging tech for underbanked access. Put your hands together for Mr. Sasidhar Thumuluri. Next is Mr. Shivansh Rachit, founder and executive chairman of Hedge & Sachs, leads with innovation and excellence, driving transformative change in financial operations. His vision extends to real estate with a commitment to sustainability. We welcome you, Mr. Shivansh Rachit. Up next, I'd like to invite Mr. Nick Patel, CEO and founder at Clink.Gold, Bank of Bullion. Keynote speaker, boasts of 25 plus years of experience in global financial markets, financing IPOs and startups across 20 plus countries. Yeah, if you keep on clapping, Mr. Imran was talking about losing 100 calories. You can keep on doing that, guys. So keep on clapping for the panel as and when I invite them. So last but not the least in this panel, Mohammed Al-Alami, I'm sorry, please excuse me about that, Mr. Alami. Mohammed Al-Alami is the CEO and founder of Dragon, is a seasoned fintech expert, passionate about revolutionizing payments and simplifying compliance in the MEA region. So please welcome Mr. Mohammed Al-Alami. And I now declare the panel open and hand it over to our moderator, Miss Melody Eskilov. Please take it up, and I'm sure this is going to be an absorbing discussion. I would just remind you guys, please keep a note of the time because we are running short of it now. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much. Salam alaikum, everyone. How has your day been today? Well, it's a pleasure to meet you, and I think we will start to do some short presentation about us. My name is Melody Eskilov, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Satoshi, a simple scan-to-pay solution, easy to use and hassle-free. So please, Jim.
As they said, my name is Jim Morose. I'm the co-publisher of a publication called The Financial Brand, which is geared to retail banking on the front side of the engagement. Also a podcast host for Banking Transformed podcast.
Hi all, my name is Nick Patel. I'm the CEO and founder of Clink.Gold and Bank of Bullion, both companies over here in Dubai. I supply physical gold to retailers and jewelers here, and the other company is a company that supplies technology for central banks to convert the gold sitting in their vaults to a digital twin.
Good afternoon. My name is Shashidhar. I run a company called Subk, which in Hindi means for everyone, in English means sub-thousand. So basically we represent the micro lending segment in India. Our job is to actually connect large banks to small customers through technology and other operating models on the ground. So happy to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Shivansh. We represent Agent Shacks, and as a company, we are into financial services, majorly into investment side, and also from the asset management part of it, where we are managing financial assets and real estate as well. So we are a group of around 300 people working from 3 different offices: Dubai, India, and Kuwait.
And for myself, my name is Mohammed Al-Alami. I'm the CEO of Dragon. Previously into payments, fintech, revenue-based financing, basically bringing in the whatever is new into the region. For example, revenue-based financing is more common today, but a couple of years ago it wasn't, and we were a part of the first company to bring that in. As for payments, we were a part of streamlining and simplifying how payments are being done in the region. When we look at the GCC, it's very fragmented, and having one provider to kind of streamline all of that for you is very key. And very, very honored to have been a part of those companies. And now with Dragon, we are looking to, again, disrupt a new industry and make it as easy as possible for people to start investing.
So, Jim, you have come from the US, haven't you? So, what is your opinion about the open and connected banking within AI?
Yeah, it's interesting because we've been talking about open and connected and embedded banking for a while, and it's really the ability to transfer data and insights that make the overall relationship stronger. When you look at generative AI, that really amps up it turbocharges that capability, because the ability to take data and insights from outside the organization, combine it with inside the organization, and then putting a generative AI framework into it, you really increase the ability to have personalization. You have the ability to make the whole process of identification and personalization more efficient. You get to do it faster. And I think what we're really understanding now is the ability to increase the personalization. And actually, we were talking about it ahead of time, actually look at what's down the road for a consumer instead of just offering them blanket products or waiting until the consumer raises their hand. The ability to bring these all together will allow us to predict when a consumer is going to want something and deliver it across numerous channels in brand new ways that may take the actual bank out of the equation to a degree.
Thank you. And Sashi, what is your opinion on that?
So when we look at technology, connected banking, AI, we have 3 very important metrics that we look at. One is efficiency, because the kind of customers we serve are really physically distant and not necessarily, digitally engaged. So it's important to connect with them a lot more than we typically connect with banks in our segment. So it's very important to bring in technology to play a role of connecting with them, and AI plays a very big role in building that connection very, very efficiently. The second metric we use is productivity. The people who serve these customers, which is the feet on the street and the bankers that we are, how efficiently, how much productive we can be in delivering, so that the scale can be built faster. So because there's a lot of physical action that happens in micro banking world, how can we actually replace that with AI so that the productivity levels and the scale can be increased? The third metric that we follow is how can we manage risk very effectively, and where AI again plays a very, very important role in underwriting these loans that we give out so that the risk is managed well. So this is how, to Jim's point, how to make it faster and quicker is also a part of how we see it as well. Thank you.
And Shivansh, could you please tell me, what is your opinion about that?
Okay, so now in today's date, we are talking about artificial intelligence and the integration and the application of artificial intelligence is almost in many sectors in this open and connected banking as well. But if we go a little bit back, that how the traditional banking used to operate, and then we started transforming the whole banking system, and this other channels started creating, and even in fact, third-party agencies started solving the internal operations of a bank, and there were clients also to simplify the onboarding processes. Now the whole digitization actually came up with many omni-channel banking processes. So these transformations are keep on happening. Like You have to keep up the pace. Whatever is the central entity, who is the main player, with which a particular client is going to finally interact with, who is the sole representative of a particular product. So that is going to be there, but at the same time, they have to be very safe and secure. As my friend rightly said, that this risk metric has to be taken care of whenever you're trying to take up new technologies, you're trying to onboard new system in place. So if you're not safe, if you're not feeling your system very much viable in terms of security process, then definitely somewhere down the line, you'll have a backlash. So be safe whenever you're trying to adopt new things. Of course, you have to. That's very much inevitable. You have to do it. That's not an option for you, because we are in a digital space and everything is being transformed. That has to be there, because if you won't adopt, then you will have a backlash again.
Thank you so much. And Nick, I think you are operating in a really interesting market. Could you please tell us more about the African market and how open and connected banking could be like more as part of the innovation?
Sure, thank you. So Africa is a very unique country in the sense that it has a tremendous population, the continent, 1.4 billion individuals. And from that 1.4 billion individuals, unfortunately, almost 50% are unbanked. Now, having an unbanked population creates an extraordinary opportunity to bring them into the banking foray, therefore not only increasing the possibilities for open and connected banking, but actually changing the dynamics. 700 million people is almost 8% of the global population. Imagine all those added and the other ancillary services that could be provided to these unbanked individuals. But starting at what Shashi and the other gentleman next to him mentioned, specifically using technologies that are easy to connect, whether it's API, blockchain based. It's actually not that difficult to create an ID, to create a biometric on individuals. And in the sense, Africa is actually quite ahead, because even though they're unbanked, they're using their mobile phones to make payments. Now, everyone knows Vodafone, all these big network operators. So what they offer them is a solution to tap and pay in the same way we use Samsung, Android, and Apple. So it's, that there could be a facility where in the same way they go to these kiosks to do top-ups, you can take their biometrics, fingerprints. Then the bigger banks of Africa could connect to the other banks that are across the world, effectively connecting these new individuals into the likes of micro-lending, which is going to be a huge want and requirement across the population. But apart from that, all the other services that could come. The opportunities are endless.
Thank you so much. And Mohammed, I think you're one of the most experienced about the MENA region and the open and connected banking. Could you please tell us how is the outlook for that?
Absolutely. First thing is, if we just look at open banking as a concept, it's basically breaking down barriers and allowing an interconnected ecosystem, whether it's for lending, payments, financial data, financial management, all of it becomes interconnected. So when you look at the MENA market, it's still a bit behind, mainly because like in the UAE, let's say the banking regulations have been announced, the framework has been announced, but not set yet. So there are no banking APIs in the UAE. Saudi has the same situation. Bahrain is the only country actually in the MENA market that has launched open banking fully and have the APIs. Now, there are two ways of open banking to be offered to the public. One is directly from the banks. You go to each bank and you get APIs set from them. But the easiest way is you have kind of like a payment gateway or payment company, such as your company, and you get all of the technology infrastructure from them directly. So when you look at what's available today in the market, it's only done through something we call screen scraping, which is mimicking the technology of what is online banking and bringing it into like payment technology and maybe getting some data from that as well. So that just says it's not secure. The way that they have to maintain that infrastructure is very difficult, because if each bank launches an update, they need to redo the integration with each bank. So there's no longevity there, and there's more focus on maintaining rather than growing and enhancing.
Thank you so much. And Jim, I mean, like, 20 years ago, we wouldn't say that the banks would have some challenges from like neobanks and so on. So what are some future challenges for the banks with the power of open banking?
It's interesting because as I do podcasts with people across the globe and do analysis of organizations, the biggest challenge or the biggest hurdle are the banks themselves. We stay in a legacy mindset. We stay with legacy processes in the back office, but try to put a nice veneer that looks like it's digital, where we're really cobbling together things in a way that doesn't work very effectively. And the biggest issue with regard to an organization being future visioned or staying in the past is actually the top leadership of the organization and whether or not they're going to embrace the change that's out there, whether or not they're going to take the risk, because we're all talking a little bit about a different way of risk analysis, which is not risk avoidance, which is traditional banking, but risk management, which as you're trying to hit new markets, when you're trying to do new things, you need to manage risk completely differently in order to get the most out of the opportunity. And then the other thing is to disrupt yourself and your organization. Banking will not be the same as it is today 2 years from now. We're not talking 5 years or 10 years, 2 years from now. Those organizations that aren't embracing the capabilities of generative AI, that aren't embracing the opportunities of open banking, and aren't innovating at scale, not by themselves, but in composable solutions where there's outside organizations that can actually do things better than you could do them themselves, bring them together. We're no longer in an annual planning process. We're in a monthly planning process trying to move forward at speed and at scale. So it's not buying technology. We have a lot of organizations that can buy technology, but unless you get the mindset correct, unless you get the leadership out of the legacy format, you're not going to be able to deploy solutions at the speed the consumer is today expecting.
Thank you. And Nick, do you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the traditional banking is slowly, probably. He says 2 years. I'd say maybe 2 to 5 years. But I think the traditional banking system will probably be obsolete. It'll be digital, the likes of what we have now in Dubai, like Weo. I have a bank account in Weo. I think it's brilliant. It's very simple, business banking, and they take accounts in various sectors as well. But these things are developing, as he already mentioned, at such a exponential rate. Those industries need to keep up. You have challenges from outside industries, decentralized finance platforms and DeFi platforms, which can give you all these services that are now tokenized, and you can leverage your assets. You can borrow, lend, you can get car insurance, health insurance, and all these other things that traditionally used to be offered by the bank are now available outside the bank. So that's another huge challenge for the banking industry. You know, as an example over here, we're still using checks, which it's slowly sort of diminishing. But, you know, the banker's check or the manager's check, as you call it over here, these things need to be, I don't know, there needs to be a better way of creating that same trust as a piece of paper that is pulled from the bank. Because I too sometimes have to go to the bank and create these managers' checks, and it's time consuming. So the digitization, the smooth transitioning of all these processes, and effectively being able to do everything by your mobile phone should be the complete banking system.
Thank you. And Sashi, what is your opinion on that? And how could your company help the customers with this kind of solution?
So I think, I don't know how many in this room would relate to this example. In telecom, a lot of markets like India, Sub-Saharan Africa have leapfrogged from not having access to a phone to having a cell phone. The whole landline, era did not exist for a lot of the people that did not have phones long term. They certainly have access to a mobile phone and not a landline. But in other parts of the world, it was a gradual evolution from a no phone to landline phone to mobile phone. Similarly, in financial services, what we are trying to do is to exactly do the same thing. Lack of access to digital finance. there is no need to actually go through the whole journey of having a paper and a cash trail to have an access to banking, right? So with the connected banking platforms that we're trying to build, what we're trying to do is to replicate a micro banking behavior or micro banking workflows in a digital environment. So in a traditional world, a bank branch, a loan officer goes to a customer, they find those customers, collect the documents, underwrite the loan, disburse in a paper format, then they go and collect cash on a regular basis. This is a typical microfinance institution does. Now, what we're trying to do is that we are trying to remove most of that physical touch points and trying to make it frictionless so that large number of people can access finance on their phones, and not only from one financial institution, but from multiple financial institutions. So that now you are not only providing access, you are also offering choice, you are offering convenience, and you are offering efficiency. All that packaged together in the form of a small app on your phone, which can actually now open up the opportunities for micro entrepreneurs to be able to build their businesses faster. So this is the power of technology, especially in the connected and open banking world, where multiple API integrations can actually process loans as fast as one can imagine and make that accessible to the last person on earth. So I think this is what we're trying to do. We are in the beginning of the story, seeing very good results in terms of how we are able to reach a large number of people in a faster manner. For example, this year we have grown 125% in our book size, so which was never the case before in last 12 years of our existence. So I think how technology is helping, move faster and build scale is already evident in what we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Shivanish, how can open banking foster innovation and competition in the financial market? What's your opinion on that?
So I believe that whenever we talk about open and connected banking, then this thing is something which is already too much dependent on the technology side. The moment we talk about technology, then we are talking about technology is open to everyone, right? Every entity who is a financial institution, and be it a bank or a non-banking institution, everybody will try to adopt it and then try to implement it to simplify the process, to make their platforms even more attractive on client perspective. I'll try to relate with Shashi actually. I can pretty much connect with you that what he's talking about, the micro lending. Of course, we are talking about the micro lending thing, but it's actually not a micro lending. It's just a segment we're talking about. That's a mass kind of portfolio which we are talking about in terms of specifically in India, if you say. In the competition range from after 2015, I would say the way all these non-banking institutions in India, they have implemented all these technologically driven softwares and devices which have been even handed over to the FOS level, who is actually the loan agent and the agents who have been trying to reach out to the most of the remote locations and trying to find the good entrepreneurs or micro entrepreneurs who are actually trying to build their own business. So that is how after 2015, we have seen many more entities that have came into place who have been doing really good business in this particular sector, and we can understand the pace of the competition and the kind of portfolio which has been driven because of this individual segment. It's going to be another segment in terms of India if I just talk about the micro lending perspective. Even in the general banking and the retail banking space also, it's already very much transformed. They were the first entity of the key players who have adopted technology. So we can already see that in your phone, you always have an option to not to open bank with the one, but you can always have options with multiple other banks as well. It's not only about the bank, but also about the retail segment as well. If FMCG or maybe an e-commerce side, you'll always have multiple options to process your payments, right? So the competition you can see very much evidently everywhere.
Thank you so much. And Mohammed, and as you know, Satoshi, we are based in Sweden, and now we have decided to launch in Dubai soon. So what would your advice be for a startup as Satoshi, some that are coming from another country and are launching in Dubai?
The first thing is localization, understanding what the local market requires, and it's not a one-size-fits-all. So when you look at, first of all, understanding the consumer's needs, it's not taking what works there and making it available here. Also, when you look at, if you go into that into detail, the process of making a payment anywhere in the world compared to the Middle East and the UAE is very different, right? Especially if you look at markets like Saudi. So Saudi has a local debit network called Meda, for example. If you don't support Meda as a payment provider, you will miss out on almost 95% of card payments that happens in Saudi, because Meda is the main payment method that is used in Saudi Arabia. And all credit cards are Visa, MasterCard. So understand the local market, adhere to what is the most popular payment methods. Second is focus on partnerships. It's easy to hire a team of 50 people and go and hit the market, but it's better to work with 5 companies that can open up the entire market for you in one go. And lastly, we focus more on the technology side. How can I embed what my solution is to make it more feasible with what the market is used to? What websites are they using? How are they interacting with them? How are they interacting with e-commerce? Traditional, brick and mortar commerce, and how that works, and try to adhere to it all, basically.
Thank you so much. And Jim, you are based in US. Yes. So if you compare US with the MENA region, what is the difference?
First off, we kidded about it before the session, is that the payments business in the United States is far behind any region in the world. Part of the reason is we have one of the oldest legacy banking systems, which kind of clamps you down on legacy processes. But more importantly, it's just the mindset. The consumer doesn't know what they haven't seen or haven't tried. I was kidding about the fact that I'm over here, and to me it's a big deal, but to anybody in this region wouldn't consider it a big deal, that for the last 10 days I've been in the region, I have not used a card or cash once. I haven't needed it. I've taken my phone and do everything by phone. It's interesting when you start to look at embedded and open banking capabilities. I get in the Uber, and the Uber not only tells me where I'm going and how long it's going to take me to get there, but it also is talking to me about where I can go to a restaurant or where I can get food delivered to my room based on my previous eating habits. It also talks to me about what else I can do in the region based on what I've done in other parts of the world. So I like urban art. I like architecture. It tells me where to go to see these things without being prompted, which is really the way banking is going to change, in that instead of the consumer, as I said earlier, having to raise their hand, we're going to be able to deliver services that are broader and more expansive and more customized on a personalized basis. I think the biggest change that we're seeing across the globe, United States, MENA region, Africa, Asia, everywhere else, is that we're moving very quickly away from a transactional engagement process to a value transfer process, which means that consumers and businesses and banks to each other are no longer looking simply at the cost element of what's going on, but they're seeing what value can be added. So risk, speed, empathy, simplicity, all these elements are going into the purchase decision, which is putting the banking world at a very high level of delivery, because I'm not making my decision based on one element. I'm taking it in the whole scope of things. And that's not just the banking industry, that's retail. It's every other industry. And it's coming at us faster than it ever has before. You mentioned earlier that the speed of change is faster than it's ever been. Oh, by the way, it's not going to get any slower. It's actually ramping up. It's as if it's going downhill from this picking up speed as you go along, like a snowball. For people in the U.S., that this region doesn't see a whole lot of snow, but the reality is that's what we're up against, and it's a great challenge, and as you mentioned, also an amazing opportunity if you embrace it.
Thank you. And what is your opinion on that, Nick?
Well, in terms of the capabilities of the US, I agree that it's a little bit behind, but I see, living over here, the capabilities we have within the UAE, the fact that technology over here is probably one of the best in the world, the capability of the regulators, the government, to accept and change and move with the times, that's also an exceptional thing that I think it's quite, it's actually very unique to this area. I've been to 80 plus countries, worked in 30, lived in 6, and I can tell you the way I see technology being embraced over here, the quick adoption of likes of Kareem and Taliban and all these local apps. It's phenomenal. But the one thing that I'm always a champion for is I do love AI. I think people are scared of it. I think people fear change. They think these robots and these AI deep embedded technologies will change the world. I can give you examples. I'm actually going to a studio tomorrow to do a deep fake of myself, so I don't have to attend anymore. Like I have my own podcast. Yeah, I have a podcast, and I thought if I do my own deep fake in AI, I just send out what I need to say in the podcast, and then I don't have to attend. So technology can actually be your best friend.
That's amazing.